Hi everyone, I'm back. So I've lost my sojo for a bit, so I thought what better way to get it back than to start off with a little alteration project instead of a new one. So I have this pair of black pants, jeans, right? And I'm going to alter it. I'm going to explain to you what's wrong with it, and then I'm going to attempt altering it, and then we'll see how it actually turns out. This will be my first fitting alteration, so it's an ambitious undertaking, but wish me luck. Now, believe it or not, this has never been worn, and it was originally jet black. I'm holding this brown marker for you to be able to differentiate the colors, the brown from the black. Now I've tossed it in the wash, so ignore the discoloration and the faded spots on the jeans which occurred during the washing process. It was just dumped and washed straight out of the wardrobe, so it has fades and discolorations, so ignore that. And I am going to too, because I'm seeing that all kinds of faded and distressed jeans are being worn now. What I'll do is, when I've done the alteration, I'm actually going to wash again and pressed it, and you will see the complete finished pants. Alright, so I've moved in a little closer. Alright, so this is a pair of jeans that has been in my wardrobe for a couple of years. It's a ready to wear, what does it say here, Avenue Blues jeans, and it is, let me zoom in a little bit, size 26 tall. Alright, so that's the issue with these jeans. Although I'm plus size, it's big. It's swimming around the waist, and the length of it, it's too tall, taller than I am, and I'm 5'9" or over 5'9", so it's very tall. So what I'm going to do is attempt to adjust the waist, the hips or the seat of the pants. I'm also going to taper in the jeans, and then I'm going to shorten and take up the hem. Now there are two videos that I'll link below in the description. These two videos helped me to decide how to approach this alteration. So the first part of it would be altering the seat of the pants, and that is deciding how much to take in from the back seam here. How much to take in from the back seam. It will require me using the seam ripper to open up the waist, take in the back seam, and adjust the waist again and bring that in. And so that will be one part of the adjustment. The zip and the outer sides I'm going to maintain with the studs, but the other video, which I'll also link, showed how to taper a pants from the crotch seam, the inside seam from the crotch inside down to the hem. And so that's the approach I'm going to use. Taper this down and then shorten the hem once I have the fit. So stay tuned to see how that turns out. Okay, so the method requires you to start with the back and the back seam has a loop right there. So first you have to unpick and remove this loop to start with, and then in order to get to the adjustment on either side of this back seam, you have to unpick the waist a little bit. So I'll be unpicking about maybe there on that side and to there on this side. Okay, once that is open out, that will give me the room to, sewing on the wrong side of course, that will give me the room to take in this extra space that's there in the seat of the pants. Now the pockets are pretty close. This side, its pocket is actually slanted down at a slant like that, so it's pretty close to the top. So depending on how much I take in, the pockets are going to move in a little closer, because I don't want to be able to change or alter anything to do with the pockets. And so I'll be stitching and taking in all the way down, tapering all the way down to the back seam only. I'm not troubling the front with the zip. So that's where we start, and that should address the fitting problem with the waist and the hips, or called the seat of the pants. Alright, once that's on the wrap, we move on now to tapering the legs. So this is a starting point. Alright, so I've removed the belt loop from the middle back. Okay, so that's the loop, and then I've unpicked a little bit from the center on both sides, so the top is now free from the waistband, which is the usual fold over. Okay, so it's free a little bit. I just had to do a little. The adjustment for the waist is not so much, it's more towards the seat of the pants. So now this is free for me to be able to fold it along the seam, keeping this to the left of the machine when we stitch, because we're going to be stitching down the seam here. And to do that, to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to take this side of the one leg and insert it into the other leg, so that we can be able to sew easily down the seam. So I'll show you that next. Yes, so I have the tuck one leg and the other. So here is the back seam that we're going to be working on, right up to the stitches that we removed. And this is now flat. I'm going to smooth it out a little bit more before stitching. But what I'll do now is use the tailor chalk and mark my stitching line. I know I'm supposed to go a little bit deeper around the seat, and so I'll just do my measurements, remeasure, and mark the stitching line there. The front I'm not going to touch for now. After I do the adjustment, I will see if there's anything that's required to be altered at the front. But for now, I'm just starting here at the top along the back seam and ending back right where it is, and then I'll give a try on and see how it fits. Okay, so I have chopped the adjustment. I think will work for me. So it's more or less straight here up against the dip, and curve a little deeper towards the crotch. Alright, so that's where I'll be stitching, and then I'll try and see how that turned out. Alright, Alright, I've made some progress. We're looking at the back of the pants here. I haven't fixed back the waist as yet. But I did the adjustment to the back crotch length. And so what you're seeing here is the seam, and I trimmed it. So I'm going to have to trim it a little bit more, down to about 1/4 inch. But if you look closely, you'll see that there are 2 rows of stitches, and that's because when I did the stitching for the adjusted back seam, I went to the front and did the top stitching. So I'm not sure it's gonna show up here, but what you're seeing here is a top stitching right along the seam edge all the way down, and then a second row of top stitching to reinforce it, putting the seam to the left of the pants. And so I'm happy. Actually, I've tried it on and I'm happy with the fit at the back. So now let me show you the front crotch length. So all of this is going to be trimmed down a little bit more. I'm going to show you the front adjustment next. Okay, so this is the front with the zipper on the wrong side, the pocket bags. So what I did next was the front crotch adjustment using a method. I'll link that video below. But essentially what it does is it takes out a bit of the inner seam like that, comes around in a curve, goes back down the other side and taper back into the seam. So a little bit, what the effect of that is that I lost some of the front crotch length, which was too long. Took out about maybe 3/4 of an inch here, right? And then you remember it affects the back as well, so it took a little bit out of the back. So I just did that and reinforced again with a double line of stitching. So this is the new adjusted front crotch. Okay, and moving to the side seam now. This was very easy. I decided not to do any more adjustment to the inner seams. So what I did was go to the outer seam, and from the pocket down, let's see if I can get this into the camera frame. From the pocket down, basically I took out quite a chunk. I've trimmed it now, but I took out as much as maybe 2 inches and just went all the way down to the hem of the pants. So that was done on both sides. And for the hem now, I haven't cut it yet, but I've tried it on, adjusted it with some pins here. Looks like I'm gonna have to lose about 3-4 inches of the hem. So I'm gonna cut it and re-hem both pants length. And then I'll end by going back up to the waist now to finish back the waist and put on back the belt loop. So that's where I am, except that in trying it on, I've lost inches. Yes, I've lost inches, not pounds, but inches. And so all of that I've just told you, I have to go back through and adjust for, I think I measured it at another 1/2 inch. So I'm just gonna go 1/2 inch. I think it was 1/2 inch at the crotch, and I have to go in, I think it was another 1/2 again, 1/2 inch at the outer seams trim, and then I should be all done. I'll put it on and you'll see the finished product. Okay. Well, it's all finished. Here we are. I've paired it with a little open top black. Here you have the pants with a nice bit of color there. down like how I like it, about 2-inch heels. So I'm in all black with a little mustard shoe to give it a little pop. And so there we have it. I'm trying not to show my belly, but you can see the fit of the waist and the taper down. The crotch isn't as baggy as before. So I'll just give a spin again.